Reading book on pausing and institutions. Written by me, Eric Wadell. First draft, February 2026. Patterns. Patterns is how we continue what was and pass on what will be. Bodies that are in constant motion, in time, grows into something, and they sometimes grow in naturally occurring patterns, and at other times in patterns that we do not recognize from nature. In our own personal growth, we may see ourselves growing in natural patterns, such as wave patterns, spot patterns, and self-replicating patterns. It is common that we grow in waves, pushing ahead in spurts, with periods of rest in between each spurt. It is also common that we grow in spots, that we become similar to the people that we grow together with. And then it is also common for us to grow in a self-replicating manner, that what we do in the little things is also a reflection of what we do in the big things. These are all different examples of us growing in natural patterns. And we may make use of universal skill patterns to see that our growth is a continuation of what people before us has done, and that our growth will pass on what future people will do. We pause and see our own growth in the growth of people past and future. Institutions are made up of people, so their growth will also be a reflection of the growth of its people. Institutions grow in patterns both natural and seemingly unnatural. At some times, we can see a given institution grow in wave-like spurts, or in spot-like distinction, or in a self-replicating manner on its different levels of organization. At other times, we can see that a certain institution grows in artificial ways, designed by its constituent people or by computers. We may make use of universal skill patterns to see institutions as continuously growing entities. All institutions are always growing, or at least changing. And we may identify the growth of one institution as being similar or contrasting to the growth of another. For example, Perhaps we are part of one institution which usually grows in accordance to other similar institutions, but that all of a sudden starts growing in a contrasting manner, thus giving us reason to believe that we are entering uncharted territory. We seem to pause the best with institutions which grow in patterns that we recognize in the patterns of our own personal growth. Creativity. Creativity is how we choose to combine our outside and inside. Bodies that are in constant motion in time grows into something, and they sometimes grow in naturally occurring patterns and at other times in patterns that we do not recognize from nature. These are the logics behind the 4 previous universal skills, and which are the raw materials that we need in order to be creative in life. We started out with universal skill body, how we know our inside from our inside. And we now arrive at our 5th and final universal skill, creativity, which is how we choose to combine that very outside and inside. We pause and observe what we have, then what we want to do with it, and then lastly, we do that. Faced with a given institution, we may ask ourselves what we actually have in front of us. What are the experiences of the bodies here? Body. In which direction is this institution going, and with what speed, and carrying what weight? Motion. What time is this institution demanding from me? Time. And is this institution growing in patterns similar to the patterns of my own growth? Patterns. The answers to these questions are the raw materials that we have at our disposal to be creative with. Then the only limiting factor is our own ambition and imagination. What ideas do we get from these answers? Do we want to investigate the institution further, or just go with the flow and leave it up to chance? After we have decided upon what we want to do, all that is left is to actually try to do it. Sometimes we gain something interesting or puzzling from it, and at other times we are disappointed or discouraged by it. It would seem that we pause the best with institutions where our creativity both finds freedom to explore as well as support to rest and breathe. In common language, we are here looking for what is known as feeling at home. Now we have covered the basics of our 5 universal skills, and it is time to move on to the next chapter, which is the 5 situations of pausing. Core skill pause, the 5 universal skills, together with the 5 situations, make up the totality of what we may call the pause framework. The 5 situations are characterized in that they are applicable at some times and places, but not at others. Pausing is sometimes situational, like that. We will make use of the 5 situations to see in what ways institutions are affected by situational circumstances.